America is in financial disaster. Despite having the most powerful economy in the world and being a place known for having an abundance of wealth and opportunity, America and its citizens continue to struggle in their finances. Now, a lot of people place the blame on the decisions of government or large megacorporations, arguments that have merit, some merit most definitely. But what appears to be a primarily economic problem, I would argue, is a multifaceted issue, large part of which has its roots stemming in culture. While this video isn't going to be an in-depth analysis or breakdown of every facet, we do have two that we will talk about today. The first being American consumerism. We are raised up and encouraged to consume. Buy, spend. We are always looking for another trinket to flash, another toy to play with, another trip to fly on, another luxury to enjoy. It's like an incessant itch, some addiction to be satisfied. But this alone isn't enough to ruin an entire nation financially. As a financial advisor, I tell people that money is meant to be spent, and life is designed to be enjoyed. The spending of money on its own isn't necessarily a problem. It's overconsumption, which is strongly enabled by the second issue that we'll be talking about today: financial literacy, or rather, the lack thereof in the United States. And this will be our main subject for today. Now, the fact is, America is not financially literate. There are about 30 first world countries around the globe as recognized by the United Nations. Among them, America ranks somewhere around 14th at best and 18th at worst in terms of financial literacy. The Global Financial Literacy Excellence Center conducted a number of studies and reported that the average American scores around a 48% on most financial literacy tests, and only having about 16 of us scoring a 75% or higher. Some of the test groups scored as low as 37%. Additionally, women on average scored 10 points lower than men, and Black and Hispanic groups scored lower than Asian and white groups on average. Gen Z in particular scored lower than all three prior generations, even not answering some of the questions on these tests. Now, as laughably bad as this might sound, the reality of it is even worse than that, because financial illiteracy comes at a cost, and it affects us in a wide variety of ways. Some directly, in ways that are more obvious, that we can make note of, that we can measure, but also in ways that are more indirect, ways that we won't really recognize until it's too late. The more direct ways, we have those who are financially illiterate are reported as 3.5 times more likely to be financially fragile, meaning that you're more likely to have your lifestyle crumble in the face of financial difficulty. 4 times more likely to not even have a single month's worth of emergency savings. I don't think I need to explain what that means. 3 times more likely to lack strong retirement planning, meaning it's likely your entire plan for retirement is exclusively in your employer 401k or other form of deferred compensation. And they are 3 times more likely to spend 10 or more hours a week on financial issues, meaning that you spend at least that much time stressing about financial matters like income levels, savings, debt, or other unexpected financial concerns. As frightening as that sounds, those stats I just listed are far from the worst among the consequences that are brought about by financial illiteracy. An individual who is illiterate but is surrounded by people who are literate can recognize there's a problem and they can seek a solution. But in a group of people who are illiterate, an entire group, well, nobody really knows the difference. The truth is that we are so financially illiterate that even the idea of financial literacy is unimportant to us. See, this is the real threat, and it's one of the biggest reasons why America and Americans continue to struggle or even fail financially for most, if not all, of our lives. Because nobody is financially literate. The thing is most of us will fail to recognize in the first place that financial literacy is important and that the lack thereof is a very significant problem in our lives. So when we have opportunities to talk about our finances, then usually what happens is, unless something has gone horribly wrong, we decide we don't even want to engage in having the discussion. We don't have an interest in it. While having the conversation doesn't ensure our success, the very scary part is that never having the conversation means that you will most certainly fail. Again, I'll say it again. Having financial conversations doesn't necessarily ensure our success, but never having that conversation most certainly ensures our failure. So hopefully I've convinced you that the lack of literacy is a major issue, and that, yeah, we suck with money, and that's a pretty big reason as to why a lot of us are broke. Hopefully I've convinced you that it's a problem enough for you to want to seek counsel, you to want to seek to get help. So with that in mind, maybe you're wondering, okay, what can we do to fix it? Well, as an individual, you in particular can seek out resources to educate yourself. The internet is a wonderful place, and all of the world's information is at our very fingertips. Anything you want to know, you can look up one way or another. Now, the downside to that is trying to figure out what information can be applied to you in your particular situation. And then once you figure that out, figuring out how to take that information and actually apply it, right? So we have to filter out information that's not relevant to what's going on with us. And then we need to figure out the information that is relevant. How do we implement it? And that's difficult to do on your own. Now, for figuring that out, it would do you good to book an appointment with a financial professional of some kind. Where we can help you at whatever stage you're at financially. And whether it's debt management, whether it's credit repair, family and college planning, investing, wealth building, prepping for retirement, all those things you can be assisted with. And a financial professional will help you do those things for your particular needs and situation. Contact information will be in the description. On top of that, having access to organized and set classes, financial literacy courses in our schools and our places of work. These things could also help resolve this issue. Now, the reason why you would want these in schools is pretty obvious. I don't think I need to explain that, right? The reason why it would be good to have these in our places of work as well is because we're given access to these very robust retirement plans, which really are investment accounts by nature. And so they come with a large variety of different tax benefits, consequences. And instead of having the resources available to teach us what it is that we're really getting into and to really take advantage and maximize what it is that we're doing, the do's and don'ts, what we want to avoid, what we want to look out for, we're just handed a mountain of paperwork that nobody is ever really going to reasonably have time to look through. And even if they did, they won't be able to fully understand it without the prior proper knowledge. Aside from that, there are a lot of very complicated and even downright predatory financial practices and products out there in the wild that we know nothing about. However, some of which we have to engage with. Take insurance and loans, for example. These are these are fairly complicated things, yet they have little to no education attached to the consumer before we become involved with them. Why is that? All of these things would help rather considerably, but it wouldn't address the large number of people who would inevitably pass up on the opportunities to learn because they don't even feel like it's important. The only way to fix this would be a shift in our culture. Cultural messaging and programming play a big part in how we see the world at large, and making adjustments on how we communicate the importance of financial management at all levels would certainly aid in shifting the trajectory of this cultural disaster. But until such a change occurs, the fact remains that America is a financial failure. And with that, thank you for watching. Hopefully you learned something today. Hopefully I convinced you of what it is that I was trying to convince you of. If you stayed to the end, again, thank you very much. Please go ahead, like, subscribe, leave any comments in the description, questions. If you'd like to contact me, again, contact information is in the description down below. So, thank you very much for the third time. Remember to stay tuned so I, Cisco, can help you, viewer, to stay in your money mentality.